to direct your attention to the book of Acts. I want to direct your attention to the book of Acts. Acts, the 9th chapter, verses 3 and 4. We will not be before you long. Amen. Very familiar scripture. Acts, the 9th chapter, verses 3 and 4. Acts. And the Bible reads, "And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus. And suddenly there shone round about him a light from heaven. And he fell to the earth and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me?" I want to read verse 3 again. "And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven." I need you to look somebody in the eye real quick, and say, there's a purpose for the light.
There's a purpose for the light.
Mm-hmm. Now look at someone else and say, the light has purpose.
The light has purpose.
The light has purpose. I need to explain something real quickly here about light. Light comes that you may what? See. It is difficult to see in darkness when you don't have light. Light also comes to reveal something. Because when the light comes on, you actually see something that's there, and you actually get to see it the way it's sitting there. Sometimes the light comes to reveal something. It comes to reveal a particular thing. But anytime the light shows up, there's a purpose for the light. And if God, now I need you to know this, the light represents Jesus Christ. So that means with the light, there's going to come some positivity and some truth. You be careful of individuals you're telling the truth to, but they don't want to receive it.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
That means they're not ready for the light. They're not ready for revelation.
That's right.
Now, it's one thing when the light comes, you ought to be able to assess your own self. When Jesus shines the light on you, you ought to be able to say, "Yes, Lord, that's me." But here, the light comes to lead you from darkness. That's why they sing a song, the light led me out of darkness. Jesus came, he shined his light on me because there was a purpose. He was trying to pull me out of the darkness. Now watch this. Before God could do anything in the earth, the Bible said, he said, "Let there be light." Because the truth of the matter is, God can't do anything in your life unless he shines some light upon it. So there we find God shining light to create something. There's a purpose for the light. When God shines the light on you, he is getting ready to make a move in your life. He is getting ready to create something in your life. He is beginning to put something there that was not there, and the light is to expose what's supposed to be there and move what's not.
Amen.
That's why for those who walk in the light, they lose people who walk in the darkness. Because what communion, the Bible says, have light and darkness together. And I want you to know, when you got ready to turn your life around and said, I'm going to go with God, I'm going to walk in the light, I'm going to do something right, I'm going to do something positive, those who did want to do right and those who wanted to do negative, they left you by yourself.
They did. Yes, they did.
Because what communion have light with darkness?
Right. Yes.
Huh? And for those who choose to walk in the light, get ready, you're about to lose some people. See, here's what the light does. The light shines and reveals the foolishness and the garbage that's going on in your life. But it's hard for some people. It's hard for some people when the light is shining on them and shining on the foolishness and shining on the darkness. If you're not ready for it, you refuse the light. There were two thieves on the cross. One saw the light and one refused to. And the one who refused to see the light was simply because he was not ready. But I'm here to tell you that when the light comes and shines in your life, please take advantage of it. The reason why you're sitting where you're sitting is because at some point in your life, you took advantage of the light. Now, for everybody who God has shined the light on and he made some moves in your life. He done some things in your life. He turned some things around. Don't tell me your life didn't get better, because that's what the light does. It comes to make your life better. Here's what I want to know. See, you bumble and stumble in the darkness, but the light is like a lamp unto your feet. And you get the opportunity to see where you're going and how you're going and who you need to be with and who you don't need to be with. Look at somebody and say, pay attention to the light. Pay attention to the light. Because that's another thing the light does. It exposes people. Huh?
Yeah, amen.
Oh yeah. The light exposes people. There's a purpose for the light. And if you've been dealing with a person and you've been walking with a person and all of a sudden God shines a light on them and you see some things and you notice some things that God is trying to expose, he is trying to reveal to you, take heed to the warning. Because there's some people in your life, and I know it seems like it's good for them to be there, but I'm here to tell you right now, the light will tell you the truth.
That's right.
Huh? Oh yeah, the light will tell you the truth. It's the folks will tell you, they will be committed, they will be faithful, they'll be down there, they'll be right there. And when the light shines on a situation, you'll look up and you'll be by yourself.
Amen.
The light is not for everybody. Because not everybody is willing and wanting to walk in the light.
That's right. That's right.
You have wives who come to church for years without their husband. Because the husband is not ready to walk in the light. Children who come to church, but their parents not there. Parents not ready to walk in the light. So now we found out that light does something else. Light causes a separation. But that's the problem, because some of us are not willing to be separated. But what the light does, it comes right down the middle and it separates. And it gives an individual a choice to make, a decision to make. Are you going to walk in the light or are you going to walk in the darkness? People you love are walking in the darkness, and people you like to be around are walking in the light. Who will you choose? Huh? Because if you read down in the text, round about verse 6, he says, I want you to go into the city and I'm going to show you what great things you're going to suffer. But Kim, what blows my mind is that Paul, well, Saul at the time, he's actually surrounded by a host of people. But no one saw or heard the light, but no one heard the voice but Saul. In other words, God shined a light on Saul, specifically for Saul, because he wanted Saul to come out of the darkness. But be not dismayed, nor afraid. He sent Paul right back after God finished dealing with him. And Paul preached the gospel to these same individuals. Sometimes the light comes to separate you, to isolate you, to prepare you for a work that he has for you. See, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the separation. It's just a prelude to. It's just in the separation, in the isolation. It's just a prelude to the preparation. See, I found out something. When you're studying something, it's hard to study and folk making noise. It's folks all around, and then you. Sometimes you just got to isolate yourself. Huh? And when you isolate yourself, you read what you've been studying, and because you don't have them distractions, and because you don't have them things around you, you read and see some stuff you didn't read and see while you had all that stuff going on. Look at someone and say, sometimes the light may isolate you. Sometimes it may isolate you. Huh? Sometimes the light will cause you to have to walk alone. But Jesus, he encourages you. He says, you're never alone. He says, I'm always with you. Lo, to the ends of the earth. There's a purpose for the light. Don't fight the light. Don't restrict the light. When God shines the light on your circumstances, on your situation, or on your life, take heed to the light. It's because God is trying to show you something. Here is another aspect of the light I need you to understand. And I think that we all will get a kick out of this one. Apostle DeCarlo, the light represents the favor of God. Because here is Paul came on his way to do something wrong. On his way to persecute the church. He had no thought about living right. He had no thought about doing right. He had no thought about living for Jesus Christ. Paul had no idea that God favored him. And the way God got his attention to let him know that he was favored for God, he shined light upon him. And not only was Saul able to see himself, he saw God in the light. Because the favor also represents, the light also represents the favor of God. How is it? You got the crack pipe up to your mouth and then a light goes off and you say, I just can't do it no more. How you on your way to do wrong and you just, you pull your car over and you turn back and go home. You say, I just couldn't do it. Because the favor of God is on your life. There's a call on your life. He's chosen you to do something right. He's chosen you to do something good. He's chosen you to be something good. And the favor on your life, it made God shine the light on your life and show you what he needs you to be doing. Look at somebody and say, thank God for favor.
Thank God for favor.
Don't reject the light, because if you reject the light, that means you're rejecting the favor of God. And when you define favor in its Greek vernacular, it's just the grace of God. favor, and grace exposed and brought on by the light of God in your life. And how many of you have had some dark situations and you didn't know what to do and you didn't know where to go and you didn't know where to turn and you didn't know what to say and you don't need who to call on to, but you went in your little secret place, wherever that was, and you called on the name of the Lord, and God, he shined light on your situation. He shined light on your circumstances. He brought about a change. He brought about a move. He turned things around, and where you had some lack, he moved that lack and gave you what you needed. You had some doubt, and he gave you some assurance. You was being disliked and mistreated, but he gave you some love. You were sad and you was depressed, but he gave you some joy. I'm talking about walking in the light, the beautiful light.
Jesus. Glory.
When I wasn't sure what I was going to do, when I didn't know what I was going to do, when I was walking in darkness, God shined the light. And now I understand, Apostle DeCarlo, when Paul says, the good I would do, I do not. And that I would not do, that I do. Because there's a war going on. Don't you know you got light and darkness battling you all day long?
Yes.
If folks knew the struggle you was going through, if folks knew what you was dealing with, they wouldn't mess with you at all, because they would see the light and the darkness inside you battling, and you just chose to do what the light said do, and you left that person alone even though it was bothering you. In other words, the favor and grace that God had on your life by showing you the light. You exemplified that same grace and favor and extended it to another person who was doing you wrong. There's a purpose for the light. There's a purpose for the light. The light can cause separation. The light can cause isolation. But it's all for preparation. The light comes to expose. It comes to lead you out of darkness into more light. It comes to reveal. And when the light of God has shined on your life, look at somebody and say, stop trying to fit in. Stop trying to fit in. Because you will never fit in again. Huh? When you decide you're going to walk in the light, you won't even make sense to your own children. Huh? When you decide that you're going to walk in the light, the marvelous light, you won't make sense to folks who you've been around your whole life. If they still stuck in darkness, it won't make no sense to them what you're doing and how you're saying and where you're going. Now you're talking about going to church, and they think you're going losing your mind. What you're going to church for? But you have decided to walk in the light, and you will find out that there's light in the church. There's a purpose for the light. And I'm going to tell you right now, for those who have decided they're going to walk in the light, get ready for a season of isolation. Get ready for a season of isolation. But don't be afraid. It's just a period of preparation. Because God is getting ready to move and use you for the next big thing in your life. Who wants to be used by God?